Hello and welcome to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Elizabeth, and on this channel we talk about building your spiritual confidence so you can listen to your intuition and read your tarot cards with ease. And today we are up to the third video in my Tarot Life Planner series, and we are going to be exploring your Tarot Astrology Wheel of Life, where you have been exploring the 12 astrological houses, the 12 aspects of your life, and looking at where things might be really good or there might be a few gaps. So if you're wondering what a Tarot Life Planner is, I will put the link down into the description box for you. It's available on my Etsy shop. So if you keep watching and you have a look at my Tarot Life Planner and you love it, you'll know exactly where you can purchase one. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notifications bell so you never miss another one of my uploads. And of course, if you would like to be part of my community, don't forget to check the description box, because I will have links to go and get some lovely freebies from me and also to be part of my community. So let's spin the camera around and have a look at this Tarot Life Planner. Bye-bye. So let's have a look at this planner. So I've just got it in a plain folder. It's in A4 size, which the whole world uses except for America. If you're in America, you'll be using US letter size. And I've had quite a few of you ask me about reducing the size down, which you can do, but it's difficult for me to give you instructions on how to do it because, of course, everybody's computer and everybody's printer is different, let alone what software and printer you're using depending on what part of the world you're in. But generally your printer will do that for you, and if you want to find instructions on how to do it, just Google it. Google the make of your printer and then write reduce the size of my PDF file, and either a YouTube video will come up or something that's step-by-step instructions on a blog post will come up for you and explain to you exactly how to do it. If you want to make sure that all the pages flow properly, like this one does, I've done a video already on the instructions, so I won't talk about that. Just make sure that you print on the size of the paper that you've told your printer you want to print on. And then that way you'll get the nice double-sided. So this is all the welcome. I've been through all of this with you. And we've been through the connect part, which is where we look at the 12 astrological houses and build our own wheel of life. So we then get to the part where we're going to imagine our wheel of life and the different aspects of our lives and how they might fit into our life. And so we did a video on how to do a tarot spread with the wheel of life and reflect on each one of the cards. And you can see I've done mine here. And I literally, what I did was I pulled a card, I put my Wheel of Life score, and then I just wrote about the house, and then I reflected on the questions, and I pulled cards for each one and used my tarot symbols to record each card. And away we go until we get to the explore part. And this is where we start to put some goals together. So in here, I've got a summary sheet, and what I did here was I started to think about the houses in terms of the reflections I'd had in the previous section and the scores that I'd given on the wheel. And so I put my scores down and I thought, which ones do I think really need work? Because if we go back to the wheel, the idea of the wheel is that it's like is that you're even all the way around. And as you can see, if this was my wheel, it'd be a bit of a mess. Like if it tried to turn, it'd be very lumpy and bumpy. So we're trying to expand each one of these areas of our life out so that we get the highest score we possibly can, so that our life is turning, our life is turning just like the astrological wheel in the most effective way that it can. So I looked at these and I saw that I'd given a 5 out of 10 for communication, which is all about the people around me and how I mix in with them. My house, my home and family is actually a lot better than what it was when I did my my scores. So I highlighted it, but I was thinking, I don't know that I need to be working on that one right now. House and routines and having any sort of sense of structure in my life is massive. So that one definitely needs some work. And my house and my legacy. So my house and what I'm leaving behind, or my footprint in the world, just needs a huge work. So decluttering, my wills and family heirlooms sort of came up for that as well. So I started to think about, well, what would be my 3 goals? And I put some notes in here for people who buy the journal. We will go over the SMART goals, and there's some goal examples. And then the idea is to choose 3 goals and just do a brainstorm. And I've given you an example on this side where you might, basically you pick your 3 houses. So I've said I want to definitely do something around routines because my score was so low. I want to do something around communication, and I want to do something around my legacy in terms of my goals for the next 3 months. So we choose 3 goals for the next 3 months. And when you see how I'll show you how I've set everything up, and you'll see what I've done with it. But what I did here was I just thought, well, what are the things I need to get done? So with my communication, I was thinking, well, I really need to have some external time, and I have a couple of very close friends that I spend time with, but I really need more social life. So I want to go back to my morning coffees that I was going to way before COVID. I want to go back to the Tarot Society and the Astrological Society that I was part of before the pandemic, and then it all got turned upside down. So I thought, well, I really want to get back to going to that because I loved it. I loved it, loved it, loved it. So they're the 2 things that I'm looking at doing when everything opens up again here in Melbourne. I need to organise something about our wills. We haven't done anything about that in forever. I need to start decluttering my home. It all got really disrupted with the pandemic. I had sort of started, and I really need the op shop, and I really need like Facebook Marketplace, because I'm a great believer in, just because I don't want it, somebody else might want it. And I'm trying to reduce my footprint and say, well, if I've changed my mind and this is something I don't want, how can I make that available for somebody else rather than just chucking it out? So everything got put on hold. And also photographs. We have got a box of photographs. My mum and my stepdad passed away, and so I had my photos and I had all of their photos. And I sat and I put them all into like archive slips, like these special photograph storage albums. And then my dad, I moved him from Sydney to Melbourne, which was a huge thing. And he presented me with an old leather suitcase full of photographs. And I reckon I made about 3 attempts with him. And I literally got a lead pencil and very carefully wrote on the back of each photo who everyone was. Because, of course, nobody had written on the back of the photo who they were. I've even got a photograph, and my dad thinks they're family friends of his grandmother's. And it's got written on the back of it, we're in the park and we're about to have a sandwich. Like, nothing about who they're writing to, what they were writing, nothing about who, like, who they were writing to, or, you know, even if they'd put Auntie Lillian or anything on it, I would have thought, okay, so they're nieces or nephews or something, anything. But we're in the park and we're about to have a sandwich. It's like, oh, for goodness sake. And it's a fabulous photo. And I have no idea if I'm related to these people or not. So I've sort of got a spot where I'm putting all those photos and putting a question mark, because with Ancestry, you find out more and more about your family tree, and sometimes people share photographs and you think, oh, now I know who that is. So we're just keeping them and hoping that maybe that might all emerge. So that's a really big job to do. It's kind of now half done. There's like, I've sort of half done it and I need to go back to it and finish it. House routines, plan your week, time blocking. Now this is huge. This one, I think, and this one with a bit of this, you know, like I think that's going to happen anyway, so I'm not getting too stressed. But this and this, I really want to get stuck into it and actually really work on these two in particular. Now, for those of you who are in business, and I know some of you are, you will realize that when life is going, in fact, I shouldn't just say just business, even people who have a family, looking after relatives, your life is going and there's an awful lot that's happening. So to write down every single one of those those things that you're doing and make them goals is probably not helpful, because you could get really bogged down. What I want you to do, and this is what I do, is choose 3 you're going to focus on, that you're going to tick things off and give yourself a feeling that you're accomplishing something and moving forward. So this is a goal-setting tarot spread that I did, and all I did was shuffle the cards. Again, I used my, this here, and this all comes in the journal. If you're interested in the journal, it's in my Etsy shop. If you're interested in this planner, it's in my Etsy shop for purchase, and I will put a link in the description box for you, along with anything else that I mention in this video. But I just use those again to record the reading, which makes it super easy. And I just picked a goal, putting together your home biz diary, and then I wrote about it. And each position, I just said, and the cards were really telling about where I'm at. So Ace of Cups, every time I made a start, I struggled. You know, I could just see that in the card, you know, as I looked at each position on the spread. So this part is about naming your 3 goals and getting a little bit more detail going. Now, what I did was I used the SMART process, because we know a goal is a dream until you start to get really specific about it. So the first one I thought I really need, and you can see I've used my rub out pens and I rubbed out and rubbed out. Gee, I struggled. And I do struggle with goal setting. So if you struggle, I'm hoping this will help you. Just having your tarot cards to get some reflection. And I found that using the tarot so good because it's structured and it's made me think. What do I want to work on in the next 3 months? On top of all the other stuff that I do, it's not like I'm going to drop everything and say, oh, well, I'm not going to be doing anything but these 3 things. It's just these 3 things are going to be front of mind for me to start to build a structure around my life. So my goal, a goal should be SMART, and I'm sure you have heard of this before. So they should be specific, they should be measurable, they should be achievable, they should be relevant or realistic, and they should be timely or have a time limit. So S for specific. Put together a home biz diary. Short and sweet. Measurable. I will purchase an iPad and put aside 3 hours a week to specifically work on creating a journal diary to load into Goodreads. So I pretty much know what I'm doing. I've actually already started looking at different things, because this is something that you will all get a chance to see once I've created it, because I'm super excited about it. I have tried bullet journaling, and I will put the link to bullet journaling in the description box for you, bulletjournal.com. It's brilliant. It is the most brilliant system you could ever imagine to get your life on track. And you will see when I put my my home biz diary together, my home biz planner for my Goodreads, and I'll explain to you what that is in a minute, iPad journal. A lot of it will be based on bullet journaling. It is absolutely amazing system, and was written by what's his name? It's not coming to me. It'll come to me in a minute. But I know he's got ADHD and some other challenges, and he used his process to keep himself on track in his life. And I loved it. And I got myself a book. He recommends getting a book and writing everything down and carrying it with you. And I've done it. The thing where I fall apart is drawing it all up every month. I just don't do it. And I end up with this book that's got everything written all through it. And it just isn't quite working for me. And then I saw electronic journaling and I just fell in love. And this is where you use an iPad and you get one of those iPad pens that you can write on directly onto the screen, and you can essentially have a planner in your iPad. So I'm going to design one of those, and of course, if it, I'll show it to you, and if I'm really pleased with it as I start using it, it'll be another thing that'll be available to you. And of course, using Goodreads, you can even put this journal into Goodreads if you want to, and use it that way with an iPad pencil. And once I get my iPad, I've got a very old iPad, and I hardly used it. So I'm very excited. I'm going to get myself a new one because the old one is so ancient. You can't use an iPencil with it. Otherwise, I would be using it. So that will be happening. And I'm going to put specific time a week every week because I really need to get this done by January the 1st. So achievable. 3 hours a week is a reasonable time allocation, and that is a reasonable time allocation for me. That will be minimum. I will probably put more time into it because, as you know, with all of my journals, I sort of, I put a little bit of time into them. So it needs to be relevant. I need a diary before I can effectively plan and record. And as I've said, I've tried paper-based methods like bulletjournal.com, and they're not sustainable for me. Now, but the system itself is fabulous. It is fabulous. And I will put the link in the comments to his website because he has a video that explains it. There's a Ryder Carrol, right? The Bullet Journal Method by Ryder Carrol. He has a book which I've read, which is fantastic. And he has journals that you can purchase from him. And if you're wanting to get just a plain journal and try bullet journaling, I strongly recommend you buy his journal because that's supporting him and his work, because his ideas have gone viral, absolutely viral, all across the web. And timely. It needs to be done by January the 1st. Now, normally I say to you, don't get caught up in the time. So if you're watching this, because this is going up on my YouTube channel, if you're watching this and, I don't know, it's the end of February, don't say to yourself, oh no, I have to start on 1st of January because that's what Elizabeth's doing. No. You start straight away. Don't delay. Do not delay. Do not delay because you won't do it. So if you've only got even a month, give yourself one goal to do in that quarter and then move on to the next quarter and start again. So name your 3 goals. So my first goal, so then I did my second one, which is plan your week to separate biz and home life. And the third one is create and allocate tasks for biz and home life. And that's related to the actual journal. And then we're aiming towards having a biz meeting with Prince Charming, which may not happen till the next quarter. And I'll explain to you, actually I'll show you these. These will be in the next video, but you can see here we've got a 90-day plan. So we've got the first, the second, and the third quarter. So the idea is that you're putting, so 30 days, 60 days, and 90 days. So the idea is that we're putting together 3 goals that we're going to try and get done across 3 months. So the first goal is put together the home biz diary, and I've got my 4 action steps. So try not to have any more than 4 action steps, and I know that is super hard, says she, who if I'm designing, say I'm designing a diary, or sorry, a tarot journal, there's the tarot journal, there's the videos, there's the putting it on Etsy, there's the designing it, the putting it on Etsy, there's the YouTube videos that go with it, and then eventually the advertising and all the things that go with it. It's like a really big jigsaw. So only having 4 action steps I find extremely difficult, but it will, if you start going over 4 action steps, you're really looking at maybe having too much in that goal, and maybe you need to break your goal up into smaller goals that you can then break down into your 4 action steps. Be really mindful. It is so easy to make a goal that is too big. And then you get to the end of the 3 months and you haven't ticked anything off, or you've only ticked off half the things that you'd planned to do, and it is just so deflating. It is much better to be able to say, I got that done and now I'm moving on to the next thing, particularly if you are super busy in your life. So the action steps here are the action steps for each one of these steps. So the online research is watch YouTube videos, seeing what other people do to put together a personal and a business journal. Read blogs about other people and what they struggle with planning. Record your ideas and explore whether you want, a portrait layout or a landscape layout. Go to the Apple shop and purchase the iPad and pencil. And actually what I should add there too is I've got to get a coating that goes over the top of the iPad so that the iPad pencil doesn't slip around. The third action step, I need to do some research. Is GoodNotes the right program to use, or Apple Notes? And that will be a little bit of research to go and watch some videos and see other people using the software so that I can have a knowledge of it, because if this is where I'm going to go in terms of my planner, number 1, I want to make sure I get it right. And number 2, if I'm going to show it to you, I want to be able to say, well, hey, look, this is the software I use. This is other alternatives you can use, and show you what I'm doing. And then step 4 is build the diary. That's huge. So building the diary will be quite a lot of work, because you'll see when I show you, it's going to have dividers, it's going to have hyperlinks, it's going to be pretty snazzy, and I'm just so excited because I'll be able to set the whole thing up in advance so that as the months flow on, I'm not stopping and having to get out a ruler and a pen and draw everything up, or if the diary gets full, it's like, having to start the whole thing all over again is no fun. And so I want to have it all set up from the beginning. And I kind of know from using my bullet journal the things that I need in it. And of course, anything that I use from the bullet journal method, I'll be acknowledging Ryder Carrol for that. I've got to insert the pages and actually that should be the other way around. I've got to load GoodNotes into my iPad, and then I've got to insert the pages in, and then I've got to insert the information ready for 2022. So things like, I'll show you the sorts of, for those of you who have an Etsy shop, you'll probably find this interesting. I'll show you the sorts of information that I keep and look at around my Etsy shop to understand whether it's actually, I'm actually making money out of it, or I'm going out the back door, that kind of thing. Because particularly with Etsy, it can be really, really difficult to see. I guess you see that you've got money going into your bank account, but just where everything's going and what your profit margins are, because they advertise you and they take a little bit for that, because maybe they advertised you out in, Google ads, and then they advertise you on Etsy, and that costs a different thing, and then they take an insertion fee, and they take a commission for the sale, and they take a lot of little bits. Let me just put it that way. And that's that's fine. I mean, I really enjoy selling on Etsy. I can't say I don't. People bag Etsy, and yes, it does bother me a little bit. But, you know, there are little things that bother me about the platform, but nowhere you go will ever be perfect. Nowhere you go will ever be perfect. So I don't mind selling on Etsy, but yes, they do take a chunk of money. And then you've got the other things that you pay for in the background that you just need to make sure that overall you're poddling along okay. So that's what's going to go in there ready for 2022, because I want to be able to sort of gather bits and pieces that I need for my tax and things like that as I go along, if that makes sense, so that when I get to the end of the year, I'm not running around like a loony. All right, so that's goal 1. I won't bore you with goal 2, which is plan your week to separate your work and home life and create and allocate tasks for your biz and home life. That's going to be a big one, because I'm going to have to make a list of all my tasks, and then I make a list of all my home tasks, and then group them into projects and put them into the iPad. And at some stage, I'm going to have to meet with Prince Charming, who works with me, and kind of explain to him what I'm doing. So that's the end of this section. And then the next section is going to be about looking at how the year is set up in terms of quarters, and how you might set your goals up, give yourself some timing to complete them, and also about how you reflect on what you have and haven't achieved, and how that shapes your goals for the next quarter, so that the whole planner starts to roll along. And then at the very back, I'll just give you a bit little bit of a look, is the Ritualized section. And this is where you would be setting up your own planner or journal. Now, you might really want to get mine when I finally get mine done. You can see here I've got some example pages for you I've already put together. You might really want to get mine when I launch it as an electronic journal. And what I might even do is create a paper-based copy for you as well, for those of you who love pen and paper. And or you can use the pages in the back of this one to create your own and start to actually track what it is that you've done in the planning, which is this part of the journal. So I hope you have enjoyed looking at my Tarot Life Planner and where I'm up to, and the 3 goals that I'm going to be working on. Don't get really bogged down in breaking all of this up into tiny little steps. Where are we? This part here. The most important thing is that this is realistic. And if you get to here and you can't break it down into just 4 sections that you can sort of, write down briefly what you're doing, you can always, there'll always be things come up that you didn't realize, and you can add those in. And then that way you've got a good record of what you've been doing. But if this is too hard to break up into 4, then revisit this and break it down even further. I hope that's helpful to you. See you in the next video. Bye-bye.